Alright guys, this is a follow-up video to my Mishimoto Baffled oil catch can that I made, oh geez, long time ago. I meant to do a follow-up video on its performance, and I'm sorry guys, I completely forgot about it, but I'm going to do that today since I happen to have some free time. This is, if you don't remember, being installed on my '07 Hyundai Tiburon GS. It's a 4-cylinder naturally aspirated 5-speed manual. I have it on ramps. I've been working on the exhaust last night. But we'll give you a shot here of what exactly has been done. Okay. So here's my layout here. Again, nothing super awesome, but I do try to keep it as clean as possible, which inside and out, which was one reason for the can. So let's go ahead and take this off here. Okay. So I'll go over how it was installed just in case you didn't get an idea before. So the outlet, which is this port on this side, is run over to the inlet here on the PCV side of the intake manifold. The inlet here, this one's a little more complicated. This guy, I don't know if you can see down in there, this guy here is actually here on the PCV, or on the, no, sorry, not the PCV, on the top of the, you know what, I just had the biggest brain fart. Remember, I didn't prepare for this video, I just kind of did it on a whim. Valve cover. This guy. Yes, thank you. Anyway, the next piece over is short little hose. It's this guy here. Comes back up into the intake. So, basically what it's doing is air is coming in this way and sucked into here, blowing back out. So air comes, let me show you the path like this, it's kind of hard. Air comes in, and it gets sucked in mostly here, but you also get a little bit in the top of here. That gets pulled into here. That gets fed, there's a bit of a track in here, and ends up back at this piece, which goes back through that hose to the inlet. It gets baffled and filtered and everything, and clean air gets blown back out this hose into the intake, which keeps the intake clean. That's the direction I have mine set up. Let's real quick pull this off. We'll see. Now I waited about 3 weeks for mine. Since I've done this, I drain it every so often, but I've waited about 3 weeks. I wanted to give you guys a good idea how much is in here. And before we get into that real quick, let's just say that at roughly 65 to 70 miles an hour freeway speed, my car runs at about 3,000 to 32,000 or 3,200 RPM. So it's got quite a bit of air and everything going into it. It works extremely hard, but that's how it's designed. That's how it works from the factory. So it may not be quite as bad on other cars that have slower RPM at freeway speeds. It doesn't have to work as hard. Things aren't moving as fast. But this one, that's just how it is. So 3 weeks later, I got an empty cup here. We're gonna see how much we got. I don't even know yet, so this is gonna be interesting. Okay. Recently I've been doing a bit of, I don't want to say racing, but I kind of like when it's an open stretch of freeway to just kind of let it loose a little bit. So I've been 85, 90 in certain areas, but not a whole lot, not for any extended period of time. This is not a race car. It's not designed for that, and that's not how I treat it. I just like to open it up, but I'm not hard on the gears. I'm not jamming the throttle down all the time. That's not how I play with this. So let's pour this out and see what roughly 3 weeks worth of catch is. Let's see the cup. Alrighty. Okay, we'll call it that. Let me just wipe this off real quick. I'm getting all over everything. Okay. So there, at the bottom of the cup. That's about all there is. Now that's a fair amount. If you think about that, if you were to take this and try and put it in a little sprayer and then spray it all over the internal parts of the intake, you can imagine how much this would cover. Okay, it's not it's not a little amount, and the coating, this would end up eventually coating the top of your excuse me, it would cover the top of the valves after it passes through the intake. It would get on the top of the cylinder, and if this filter weren't quite right, it could end up back inside the intake. We don't want that. We want this stuff to stay as clean as possible everywhere. You want to keep the engine oil in the motor, but unfortunately with crankcase venting, that's not really how that works. So we take a real quick look at this. I don't know if we're going to be able to see this. I don't have the light on in the camera. Let me get down a little farther here. Okay, so there's my filter up here. That's this piece. I forget the micron size that it filters out, but it's quite a bit. It does a very good job. I've never actually taken it off, so I haven't broken the seal, but I just back flush after taking off these barbs here, and I'll back flush with pressurized water from a hose and then blow dry it with a compressor with compressed air, and that's how I clean this filter out, just to make sure air is continually flowing. And this is the baffle that, as the can gets shaken around from the movement of the car, that the oil doesn't splash back up and get in either this hole or directly saturate, soak, and cover up the filter, which actually would allow some to get through, but really not enough to worry about. So that's, and the video happened to cut out on me. Time limit on the phone. This is about 3 weeks. So to give you an idea, that's quite a substantial amount, I would think, that would have otherwise ended up inside the engine. So if you really want a can that's worthwhile, do not get those eBay cans. They are absolutely not worth a damn thing. I started off with one, and honestly, I got maybe like 1 or 2 drops, like from an eyedropper, 1 or 2 drops in the bottom of that can ever. The airflow was such that if you look at a can like this, it would come in the top. They were both top inlets. It would come in the top, and the other one was just kind of offset, like, well, a little higher, so the inlet was lower and the outlet was higher to kind of force it down. But all it would do is like this. It would just make, it was so quick, it would just create a loop and nothing would ever get caught. It was just literally an empty can. There's no baffle, there's no, and it was solid. It's not like I could just, you know, unscrew the top and put in something to baffle the air and then screw it back on. It didn't work like that. And I wasn't about to even attempt to cut it out, or, you know, cut it in half and do all that kind of crap with it. So, yeah, that Mishimoto baffled catch can, I don't remember the exact price tag. It was a little over $100. Best investment I have ever made, and I'm sure this has kept my engine extremely clean. I've used a bore scope to look down the cylinders when changing the spark plugs. I think I did that 4,000 or 5,000 miles back, and it's about as 100% clean as you can get. I'm not the original owner, so whoever had it before me actually did a really good job. They obviously didn't have a catch can installed, but so the top of the cylinder isn't, you know, as amazingly clean as I would like it personally, but they've done an extremely good job with this car, both inside and out, the engine, everything. It's absolutely amazing. I mean, look at this thing. Yeah, it's great. So, if you really want a good can, Mishimoto Baffled Oil Catch Can. Hit them up. If you like this channel, like, subscribe, do all those things you do to spread the word. If you want requests for more types of videos, let me know, and I will try to make some more and post them up for you. Thanks a lot, guys.